Okay, back to our practice. This is video number 3, and we've already drawn the box for our building. Remember, you should erase your guidelines and the horizon line beyond the building before you go to these next steps, which I've already done. My next step now is I'm going to put a door on this longer face. That's where I want you to do it too. It's a little easier. Once you get to your actual landscape, you have every opportunity to change up anything that you want to do. So I've already done some pre-marking, just some thinking it out for myself so you don't have to watch me figure out where I want things. So I'm going to put the closer side of the door to me right about here. That's about 1.5 inches from this line. So I just kind of eyeballed it actually. And then I want to make sure that the door is parallel to the corner of the house. It's on that face, which means it needs to be parallel to the front corner and the side corner, and it's going to be a little bit shorter at the back side than it is at the front side because of perspective and the illusion of space and depth. So I'm going to draw a line that goes above my eye level, right? I need to be able to walk through this door. If I'm standing right here at the front of the building and I'm walking into this building, my eyes are right here at the horizon line. So my head needs to be able to clear the doorway. So I'm going to make the doorway higher than the horizon line that I can still see. All right? So that front corner needs to be above the horizon line. I'm going to put it right about here, and it's going to be parallel to the front edge. So it's going all the way down to the bottom of the box. Now I'm going to make it this wide, right about like that, and this line needs to be parallel to this line because that's the way a door is. It doesn't have weird angles to it in most cases. Now we're going to be taking the top line just like we did the top of the box and the bottom of the box. They go to the vanishing point on the right hand side because they're on that face of the building. So they use the same vanishing point in their construction. So I'm putting my pencil on that vanishing point. I'm putting it at the top closer line of the doors line, and I'm just drawing a line in. I could draw it all the way to the vanishing point, but I don't need to. Notice I kind of missed right here, so I'm just going to fill it in, right? So there's my door. Remember, here's my head right about here. My eyes are right there, about there on my head, and that helps me to walk into the door. Okay, so that needs to be like that for yours too. Now I'm going to put a window on this side and a window on that side. A window is most often about the same height as a door, not always, but let's make ours that way. We're architects, we're designing our own house. So we're going to put our window about the same height as the door, going back to the same vanishing point. I'm not putting it right next to the door because we need some wall to stabilize the door and the window. If we don't have some space between them, they could shake apart in any kind of movement. Just even opening the door makes it more fragile. So we're going to leave a little space. I'm going to erase that little bit of line that doesn't belong there at that corner. All right, so now I know the top of the window is. I'm going to decide, okay, I want to be able to look out that window at a standing position inside my house. My feet, by the way, are going to be a little higher than the bottom of the house. We're going to put a step there. So here's about the bottom of my feet. So I'm going to be standing inside my house about here. So I don't want everybody to see my feet, so I'm going to put my window up a little bit higher. So it's going to be low enough that my head is can easily see through it. Maybe even my chest will be above the bottom edge of the window. We call that a window sill. All right, so here's the bottom of my window. Now I'm going to connect this one and that one and this one and that one, and they need to be parallel to the edges of the building and the edges of the doorway. So you want to make sure that this distance from here to here is the same. You want to make sure that this looks parallel to that before you draw your lines in. Having everything parallel to one another on vertical edges is key to making believability. So there's my window. It's going back in space, so it's the distance from top to bottom is less here than it is closer to us, because that's what perspective does. It helps you to distort stuff. We'll talk about why it's called aerial perspective as we start building other things around it. But this building is in what we call the middle ground. It's not right in front of us, but it's not way back in the distance either. It's in about the middle ground at this corner. All right. Now let's put another window on this face. I'm going to put, I could put 2 windows in, but I'm just going to put in 1 window. we want to leave a little space between the front edge and the edge of the window. And I want to put them in about the same way as this, the same height at the top and bottom. And I'll show you a trick. So I'm just going to draw in this side edge kind of tall. Now, if I took this whole bottom edge, I put my ruler at the bottom edge of the window, and I take my ruler and make a mark at the corner here, that's how low that window would be if it went all the way to the corner. And here's how tall it would be if it went all the way to the corner. All right, so if I want to make this window the same height, top and bottom as this one, that's the easiest way to do it. Now I know where this is where the top is going to be. I'm going to not start it at this line. I'm going to start it here, however, right? And it goes that way. And I'm going to start it in relationship to that one. And it goes that way. And just like with this, we need some wall to stabilize it. So I'm going to erase some of the lines that I put in place here real quick. Pardon my head. Now the distance from the, if I want it to be right in the middle of the wall, the distance from the front corner to the window's edge that's closest to us is going to be more than the back corner to the back edge of the window. The distance is going to be less because it's farther away. Just like this distance is less than that one. So I'm going to put my ruler right about here. I know it can't be this much if I want it to be centered on that wall. I'm going to make it about 2/3 of the distance, maybe a half of the distance. And I want to make sure it's parallel to that edge before I draw it in. Move it this way just a bit. And there's the back edge of my window. Now I can tell you that's too far from the edge. It's almost as much as that one is. But I'm going to be doing some other stuff there, so it's not a big deal. And I'll explain that as we go. So those are the basics. So you need to have in your building, you need a doorway on one face and a window on the same face and a window on the second face. So you need 2 windows, a door, and we're going to do a roof and a walkway to the sidewalk. So let's do the walkway first. If we want to have a walkway that goes from the bottom of the house to the sidewalk, we can make it go any angle we want to, but it has to start right here at this corner where the door meets up with the bottom of the house. So let's make it go at what looks like maybe a 90-degree angle, something that might be actually, going back to that same vanishing point there, would make it a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to put it at that vanishing point at the left. I'm going to line it up with the corner of my bottom of my door that's closest to me, and I'm going to draw it all the way to the sidewalk there. So this is the walkway that's going through the front yard. And then this one's going to do the same thing from that vanishing point through this line on the bottom of the house, going to the sidewalk. So this is a walkway from the sidewalk to the house, okay? We'll build up a step and stuff eventually, so we don't need to worry about it. We need this to be on the ground level, just like the house is. So our next step is we're going to put in a roof. We're going to put the peak of a roof like this. It's kind of a triangle here, and then it goes down to this vanishing point over here at a triangle at the back. So let's decide first how high we want it to be. The easiest way to decide that is it's kind of arbitrary, but we need to figure out where its peak is going to be centered between this edge and this edge of that face. So here's how you do that. From this corner to this corner, you draw a line, and I'm not even going to draw the whole line. I'm just going to do an X in the middle of this window or somewhere in the middle. And from this line, this corner to this corner. All right, so that's the visual center of this wall. Right here is the center. From here to here is the same as from here to here in distance if we were facing parallel to that wall. So that is the actual visual center of the wall. Now if we draw a line going straight up from it or from the top of the building, parallel to this edge, parallel to the edge of the paper, just a line going straight up, we can make the peak match up with that. All right, so we're going to be making a roof that goes in with that. Let's do that on our next one so this doesn't get too long.